Today I'm going to show you some basics on how to use a speed square, anything from the ruler, your common rafter conversion, to angles, roof pitches. Yeah, so let's get started on to one of the first things is the typical, everybody knows, it just makes a square line. You can also use that square in combination with a skill saw to make a square line as well. Next, it does angles really pretty simply. Here's 15 degrees. We can hop up to 25 degrees. We're pivoting on this pivot point right here. It says a pivot point here, so we pivot on that. And then we can go up to 45 degrees. And then the speed square, it naturally has your 45 degree angle here on the back. So one of the most common angles that we use building a house is going to be a 512, which is 22.5 degrees. And that's very typical roof pitch. Some of your nicer houses have a 1012, which would be 40 degrees. Now also, chart here. There's your 1012 is 40. There's your 512 is 22.5. So these are all your pitches. One little neat fact is a 1212 is a 45 degree angle. So if you look at a house and it is square up here at the top, then that's a 1212 pitch. I also like to use my phone to find a pitch on a roof. Your phone's got angles on it as well. So you can mark a 512, which is our typical, and that is what I would call the short side of the angle. There's also another side of the angle, which is the, if you have a 90 degree, it's the other side of the angle. So I like to do it is I like to use my square where I put the pivot point down like this, and then I take it to 512 here, and then I can also mark what I call the long side of the 512. So now you've got your bird's mouth here for a rafter as well. So you have the short angle and the long angle. And then you can also use a square this way to help find that short angle. You can also use the square with a tape measure. You can do a layout, which usually we set things on 16-inch centers, which would be, we usually set back so it's centered. You can mark like that, and then of course you can mark like this, but also you can just take your tape and set your square and mark. But then something I use all the time is right here. You can tell it's got a little marker there for 1.5 inches. So you move that to here, and there you go. Now you've got that spot for that stud. You can also, you've got 1/2 inch here. You got 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inch, 2.5, all the way up to 3.5. You can also use the square as a scribe. You can hold the pencil on a line and then create a straight line. Some squares actually have notches for this. This one you can see actually has a 3.5 notch where you can hold the pencil in here and make a 3.5 inch mark nice and straight. You also hip and valley cut, and these are all the different pitches of the roof. So if you have a 10-12 roof that you need a hip and valley rafter for, you'd use the 10 there, like so. A trick you might not know that a speed square does, now this is a little bit bigger speed square. Some of the smaller speed squares have this feature. My small one doesn't have it, but we just make a few marks there and put a screw in. This will be our center pivot point for, oh, we go right into this point. So this is a pivot point here. And now we've got all of these different sizes here. We can lock our pencil in, rotate around. We can go a 6-inch diameter circle. We go up here to 7-inch. Every one of our notches are 1/2 inch. So that's another fun trick to find the slope of a roof. Use your speed square, use the pivot point here, pivot it, along with a torpedo level. Once the torpedo level is level, then you can come down here and you can see that the roof is a 512 or a 22.5 degree angle. Ultimately, our goal, finding the pitch of a roof, is we need to know what's level. When we're trying to find the pitch of a roof, ultimately we need to know level or plumb. So two tools in our nail belt that can tell us that is our torpedo level here. Or you can also use your string line, which is also a plumb bob. You can put a nail in, hang your string line as a plumb bob. That paired with your square, you're able to find level, or this would be your plumb side with your angle, and you got your 512. The other way you can do it is you can use the ridge board as the plumb object along with your square, and you've got a 512. Phone has a measure app, and it's got on the measure app, it has a level. And so you can use that level to find an angle. So we set our phone up here and we got 22 degrees, which is a 512 roof is 22.5 degrees. I use this way a lot bidding jobs, and I'll stand on the ground and I'll sight across the top of my phone and the top of the ridge from the ground, and I can get a very good idea for bidding purposes what the roof pitch is.